Welcome everybody to the Smart Guy podcast. CJtheSmartGuy with you, and today I have a legend, Bitcoin legend, Kibera legend, Kenya legend, Nairobi legend. He is a co-founder and director of Afribit Kibera, a pioneering initiative building a Bitcoin circular economy in Kibera, Nairobi, with a background in sociology and community development. This man has long worked in grassroots organization and human rights, especially in underserved urban settings. In Afribit Kibera, he leads strategy, local engagement, entrepreneurship programs, and the expansion of financial inclusion via Bitcoin, helping people earn, save, and transact sats, which is a fractional Bitcoin, without needing traditional banking infrastructure. Beyond Afribit, he's also involved with the Ronnie Fund and works with Spatial Collective, focusing on community empowerment across East Africa. Everybody, we call him Mr. Ronnie. Appreciate you for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for all the accolades. It's all the power of the community. We are able to do what we're able to do because the community is receptive, because the community is ready, and that is what we are trying to build on. So we are working as a team. It's not a single person's effort, but very proud to be part of this team, and of course to have connected with you. You're an amazing guy, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so let everybody know what your version of Afribit is. What is Afribit? Why Kibera? Why was this initiative important to you?
In Afribit Kibera, it's one of the largest informal settlements with a population of about over 250,000 people. Of course, that is the figure that we use, but we know it's way much higher. Our focus here is to try and get this community, teach them about tools and give them knowledge around Bitcoin that promote Bitcoin circular economy. And why Bitcoin circular economy? You find that Kibera is one of the donor-dependent communities around the world. You know, there's so much donation that goes in there, but some of it really never gets to the people. But as Afribit, we are looking at it as a way of: is it possible to hold value in this community? And as the Bitcoin continue appreciating, the value of this community gets to appreciate. And the young people we have there who you met who are so passionate with Bitcoin and are learning about Bitcoin can probably have a different kind of life, being powered and being supported, by Bitcoin. So I want to look at it in a very futuristic perspective, and that is why we are very bullish about Bitcoin circular economy. We believe as the value circulates within the community, the value of this community will appreciate, and we are going to have a more empowered community that is less dependent on aid. And we are seeing that in a small way. We are trying to build that in our own small way, and we're just getting started. That is the journey. And on the question why Kibera is just one of the starting points, but Kibera has a very vibrant population. And for us, we had a long term and trust relationship with this community. So it was easy to build on top. And I've widely dealt with informal settlements and local communities. It's almost like, there's a pool now, like, hey, dude, when are you guys going to come over this side? But we need to have a proof of concept that then can be replicated in other areas. That is why our focus is in Kibera right now. And you find we have a very passionate group there, Mitch, Steph, and the other guys who have kind of owned the initiative. So the movement has a life of its own. And now, everyone is joining the bandwagon, or rather like the train. And again, like I said, Kibera is huge. So we are still have a long way to go to replicate it in the other 11 villages.
Yeah. And I appreciate you because you let me to come over there one time. And it was amazing to see, like, being there. And, I talked to a lot of Kenyans, a lot of people from Nairobi, and they call Kibera the slums, which, I don't like calling, places I'm not from any type of name. I think that's somewhat disrespectful, but that's what everybody will call it. But when I went there, like you said, the vibrancy, the willing to learn, the excitement, all I saw was opportunity. And so, I salute you for going into that area, for building it up. And one thing that I was talking to Mitch's as well as Alfonso on a podcast, and I was saying, like, the circular economy is great because what that does is that allows, like, when somebody starts to get rich, because somebody will, somebody's going to break out and they're going to be great. It encourages them to stay. And if they stay and they invest in everybody else and everybody starts to come up, versus I know a lot of times in Black America, you get one person that comes up and then they're gone and they never come back. They might donate a little bit, but like for the most part, that's it. And so it keeps the hood, and then it keeps the rich areas, and you never actually have a transfer of wealth. So I salute you for that. How long have you been in Bitcoin?
So I'd heard about Bitcoin way earlier, and this is because we ran like a homestay. So we had a guest around, I think, 2013 or so, who came and he was like, yeah, Bitcoin is gonna be the future. And we were like, we don't really know, like, what Bitcoin is. So we were ignorant. We really never paid any attention. But then with the Ronnie Fund initiative, now like my co-founder, who is called Yogi, had been supporting the Ronnie Fund for quite some time. And he was in the tech space. So in around 2017, 2018, he started introducing me into Bitcoin, and he started very subtle because he was like, hey, I want to do something with you around computer stuff and see how we can empower the young guys through the computer initiative, because that's my area of specialty. And I thought maybe it's the same old thing, like, that comes to happen, like Word, let's do like, Excel sheets, PowerPoint. I was like, okay, if it's this kind, then this is really, really like, outdated right now. I don't think like, would really get much accomplished in this. So it's like, no, there's something like, blockchain. And then he got again into Bitcoin, and it snapped again. Oh, Bitcoin. Yeah, I'd heard about Bitcoin. And now, like I could relate to that. So what he did is he plugged me into Bitcoin 101 course. He was like, oh, here's a course. I'd actually already paid for it. You can audit it. And if you think it's good enough, you can get some students and they can start on it. So I did that course. I got to some areas, they were very technical, but I still went back. I love challenging stuff. So it was a good, and this was on Ivan Tech Academy. Now it's called Morales Academy. And that was now around like 2019 when we started very actively on that. And it was really interesting, to learn about it. So the guy was like, going forward, like the donation I was giving to the Ronnie Fund, I'm going to give that donation in Bitcoin. He had committed like to be giving, let's say, like $100 every 2 months or so. So he was like, he'll be giving that, and then let's try and see don't change it, or try and see as much as possible. If you buy stuff, try and get, other guys to accept it. Yeah. So it was like, okay, so that is how we started. But then after auditing the course, I was able to enroll 9 students at first. The course was open. We had already paid for it. I had audited the course, but now they were not learning only about Bitcoin, but then there was Python, there was DeFi in there was smart contract. So there were all these technical courses, which are very deep. So it was really adding value, not just learning, but the condition was Bitcoin 101 was the first course that they had to do. And then now they could do the other courses. And with the donation now that he would send, that was Yogi, I would incentivize, those young guys. So it was sort of like an incentivized learning. Because they're learning something new. So you're like, okay, you gotta have to incentivize these guys. So that's how it kicked off, grew up to maybe like 15 students. And what we were seeing now after the course, we had a really beautiful, I call it a beautiful challenge, in a sense that most of these guys started getting really good gigs because they had acquired skills that were not very mainstream in the colleges and in the universities here. So they were sort of the pioneers. Yeah. So these guys would have actually been the pioneer Bitcoin educators in the space, but most of them were like, okay, for them, they're holding, but they're spending, just being young. And then there was COVID that time. I know a lot of them, and during the bull run, some of them cashed out, and they're like later on, like, oh my God, what did we do? Yeah. What did we do? But just like you saw in Kibera, you can save, but we tend to save like, very little because of the everyday needs. People live on the very fine margins. So it was important for people to be able to know what this was. But what also came out of this with the group of students we had was, and this is an idea like I had, I'm very bullish about the Pan-Africanism. And there's this issue of all the different currencies in the 24 countries, that exist in the continent. And having worked with all those other areas, communities around like, the African countries, I was looking at the challenges that exist in terms of even like sending money, but also being able to pay someone in the currencies. So our first project with these students now was to develop an Afribit marketplace. Okay. That is what now we had started on. And interestingly, Sarah, we had also been converted into a tech person.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was involved now with the students. They were building the website, and the only challenge actually we had was the logistics part. How can someone from, like West Africa, ship something, let's say, like to Kenya? We were thinking so big. We were not just thinking maybe Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Probably we could have started small and then scaled outwards.
Yeah.
But we were thinking of the whole region. So since there's a problem with the infrastructural network, you'll find actually right now there are some things that will have to go to Europe before they can go to another African country, which makes the logistics like insane or like, super impossible. But that was the vision of the Afribit marketplace, for people to be able to trade across Africa on Bitcoin, like, as a unifying currency. So we were seeing that as a way whereby like this would really unify the continent, but also build value within the Africa continent. Yes, we are very rich in terms of resources, but also like economically, we are looking at it like, let's empower Africa, like, So even if you look at our logo, the African map that we have, it's yes, those are the Pan-African colors. That's the Pan-African flag, That's the Pan-African flag. So you'll find we have red, we have, black, we have green for abundancy, but that was the vision. So what we did then, we had to sort of like, hold on the project because of those logistical challenges. And the students, which we had actually taught, they had gotten some good jobs. I can call it quote unquote, like, good jobs. So they had started off and they had moved on. So now came to a point we were like, okay, this is a good progress, but how are we able again to use Bitcoin, like to solve some of these issues that are happening? So from Kibera now emerged the group that we had worked with, that was Mitch and these other guys. There's of course Wali, Jonte, the car wash guys that you saw there. And the challenge was standard again across the board. There's so many resources that get poured into a community, but you really never get to see the difference. And that's something like moral wise, like, really used also like, like to disturb me a lot. And all this time I'd been thinking like, how can Bitcoin be used like, as a tool, like of empowerment? So this unique challenge came about when this group, they had a bank account. And most of these groups would form bank account because maybe CJ would come and say like, hey, I'm going to fund you, but you guys need to form a group, register it, and would send you some money for your group. And so you need to have a treasurer, an accountant, and they call it maybe a chairman or something of the sort. So that having happened, this group did open a group, but then what happened is they did not continue with the project. So they had some funds which were in the account, but then the account was sort of like, frozen because it was not active. And the next time when they needed to reactivate their initiatives, the banks were like, you guys need to bring this documentation, you need to pay some extra money and all this kind of stuff.
Middleman.
So that was the bulb moment, like where we were like, what about you guys now? So I started having one-on-one sessions now with the guys on the ground, and Mitch was one of them. It was a couple of other young guys. So I had very strong connections across the all villages of Kibera. But we started with a village that was most ready, and this is where Mitch and these other guys all come from. So we started one-on-one sessions with these guys. Like, look, this is how Bitcoin can fix this issue. And we already had the trust, they're looking up to me as their mentor, and we had done so many other things apart from Bitcoin. So for me, they were just like my brothers, because we are working on behavior change programs. Most of these guys were in crime. We did set up some initiatives that, turned very profitable for some of their peers and their brothers. So we had proof of work in relationship. And they knew, like, we genuinely meant well, like, working. So on those sessions, that's where now we started opening up, like, the Bitcoin channels, and we didn't know like even funding existed, like that was we never knew. Like nowadays is when like people probably would start something because it will get funded, but we were looking at it for us as a solution. And one of the solution was this is a classic example of lack of documentation. because one of the secretaries actually who had the documents, they had been destroyed by fire. So there's no way they were going to produce those. And in Kibera, fire is quite common, with the sharks and stuff. Those things do happen quite oftenly. So once we started that, we identified a group of pilots. And this is where we started with the heart of the community. And these are like the garbage collectors. We call them the waste management guys. And this is a group that it always has some sort of like connotation in the community because they are dealing with this kind of work. But it was an experiment, like, okay, what would happen if these guys, like, got value, got some digital gold in their hands? How are we going, like, to work this out? And then of course, we had the border riders, guys also who are very passionate, like to learn about it. And so the first ingredient was the trust that we had. The second one was we had these groups which was ready to try, and there's been used to so much scamming. So there was so much perception, like, Bitcoin is a scam. Don't even try. And I'm so grateful, like some of the biggest critics of Bitcoin right now are the proponents and the Bitcoin educators who are pushing the movement on the ground, not because they are being paid, but because they have come to learn and understand and, like appreciate, like what Bitcoin means. And I know you've spoken to a lot of people, like in Kenya and specifically even in the slums. There is that hunger, for freedom, for sovereignty. Anything that touches that nerve, it evokes some sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And once the guys from the waste management group we started with a small group. We would incentivize them every Sunday now. Let's say they would get some sats after they do their own waste management or garbage collection days. So we went backwards, like, okay, if you have this, and this is money that you have, you're calling it Bitcoin, but it is money.
Yeah.
It is a means of exchange. If you had this amount, like, where would you take it? And that was before Tando,
Yeah.
Tando wasn't there yet. So they were like, I would probably want to spend it on where we shower, because in Kibera, they have a lot of community showers. Not very many people can have their own shower. They'll spend it on the vendors on the streets, like, those vegetable vendors. They'll spend it on what we call them entertainment spots, where they go to watch, like, live matches. Kibera is very big in Premier League, so they would go there to watch the matches. And that is where now they wanted to go and spend their sats there. So now we move to the merchants now. The merchants thing also, we did a one-on-one. So what I did is I would invite one merchant just to come at my place at home. We would sit, have tea, tell them what Bitcoin means, break it down. They would be with Mitch there or someone who is from the community. Just get them to be comfortable. The pioneer ones, you'd even give them a rebate and tell them, like, okay, this is your security, but tell me how it goes. Have this 1,000 shillings, and you can accept the payments against that security, and then, see how it goes. But let's keep having these sessions,
Yeah.
So for me, it was very personal. It was very personal. But eventually, I was able to meet, like, over 15 merchants, one-on-one sessions. And that had a huge impact in a sense that these guys now could go and spend those sats there, And Mitch had actually opened a shop, a shop now where him and the wife were selling, like, fast food, like fries, porridge, and stuff. And guys could go there and pay in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So people started seeing, like, there must be something here,
Yeah.
There must be something, that is happening around here. And the good thing is the graph was also going up. So that worked, like, in our favor. All this time, like, the education was based on one-on-one. And the other technique that we use, we will look for someone like CJ, who is very, like, chatty, and he can talk to people. He has a stroke. So get one of those guys and then do mentoring sessions, like, one-on-one. Sit with them. What are your preconceived ideas about Bitcoin? What do you think? Break them all down until they become, like, some sort of maximalist in their own way. So when they go back to their peers and their peers are like, no, it's a scam, they're there like, you know what? Let me break it down for you, and they can break it down in their own local dialect or in their own local, like, circle language. And that's how now it started getting traction. And there were still many challenges because you find, like, in the informal settlement, sometimes there is a lot of rivalry, just like the fighting. And I want to be the guy, I want to be the main guy, and those kind of stuff. But then we were like, look, we want to build a community. It's not about just Bitcoin, but
Correct.
we want to have a functional community. For this to be successful, we need to have a community. So we move now into mentorship, problem solving, conflict resolutions. And once we had passed that bridge, I knew we were sort of heading somewhere where people had started seeing each other as a core unit and a very valuable piece, of the society. The perception now started changing. So in the laws, in the apps, we were always now together, and we started strengthening portions. Where is the most conflict coming from? This is the area that is bringing conflict. Again, behind the scenes, no limelight, no nothing. We try and resolve those issues. Yeah. So we've come a long circle. People are just seeing Afribit now, and it's getting all the media attention, which is something we really actually try to shy away from.
Oh.
And I personally didn't want to be on the limelight. My interest was just to empower guys, from the back end. And I would do most of my one-on-one meetings, back at home, host guys for tea, we could have lunch and chat or go down and then head somewhere where we could go and eat together. So we have a bond and we have a relationship whereby even if someone doesn't feel confident about their idea, they would come, and say hey, Ronnie, look, I think if we want to be successful in this particular area, we can try and use this approach. And you're like, oh, okay, you're the expert. Now teach me, how are we going to go about this, You're empowering them in a sense that they're feeling they have something, they can sort of contribute. And that really helped, to put the foundational blocks, of Bitcoin. Again, we had another challenge now, the challenge now we had was there were people who were so smart and now they had learned about Bitcoin, and every time there was a Bitcoin incentivization payout, some whales will go and buy the Bitcoin. So we will not have the Bitcoins, circulating.
Yeah.
So went back to the drawing board and we decided more education was needed. By this time now, at least we had gotten the Bitcoin Beach. They were offering us some grants.
Okay.
And they would initially start maybe with $2,000. And then if they see you're doing something, they'll give you maybe $5,000. Then later on, they give us $10,000. And I think that really now gave us a very solid foundation. We were so people do get funding, to do these things. So we already had programs to put this money into. And we already had a very prepared community that was embracive. So what we did now, we did something we call incentivized learning. Naturally, guys would not want to come and just learn about Bitcoin. You're telling me it's not a scam, and you want me to come and learn? No, I'm not going to show up. So we started something we called incentivized learning. So we partnered with Felix of the core, Linda of the EduBit Hub, and of course we would invite Tando, we'd invite all the other players. Our mission was to see as many people as possible bring this knowledge, into Kibera. We wanted that, and we wanted these people to see this was also happening outside Kibera. So that worked like magic. But this was the catch. We told them, look, attend the first 3 sessions. Yes, even the first session will give you some sats. The second session, you'll get some sats, but we're going to do the payout in the 3rd session.
Yeah.
After the 3rd session. And it will be packed. We'll have 60 guys, show up. So guys started coming in, and what was magical was by the 3rd session, no one wanted to sell their sats, man.
Yeah.
People are now I know what you guys were doing. You are robbing us, man. You're robbing us. This is powerful, So they had that knowledge.
Yeah.
So they got the bulk sats, but then after that, they still could go and buy. And we told them, now we brought Tando, and Tando guys told them, look, you guys, if you want to build a circular economy, spend sats amongst yourselves here. If you go to town and you have your sats, then you can Tando there, because if you Tando, you're taking the sats out of the community. And that took some time to sink, but the technology itself was very exciting. Wow, so this is real money, And they started seeing it in a very different perspective. By the time we were done with the 5th session, man, people were so fired up. There would be caucuses in the community, corners, people discussing about Bitcoin, how powerful it is and what it means for them. And then from there, now I was open again, and I was like, look, if you guys want to come for deeper stuff, or if you think there's something you need to understand, let us know. We would get guys to come and teach you guys more.
Yeah.
With those grants, we were able to scale up to more groups. Like right now, we have 4 groups in total that they get incentive in SATs. Then we had another beautiful challenge. I call them beautiful challenges because they always help us to learn and improve. And I love challenges, man. They always help you, like, figure out the next step. And it's more beautiful when the community actually comes up with a solution.
Yeah.
So these guys were like, look, this thing is so male dominated, and look at how, the girls were like, look at us, we can't go into the trenches, and do the garbage stuff. Not meaning that there are not others who are going, because there are so many other women who joined because of the SATS program.
Yeah.
They did win that because of the SATS for Work program. We call it SATS for Work program. So they came up with a upcycling initiative whereby now they repurpose old garments, and they make decors from these garments, but they also get SATS incentives from this kind of program. But this is not even the main, side of the story. The whole vision behind this was, once the community had the knowledge and had understood specifically for these groups, now we were starting to see where these guys, like the garbage collectors, once they sell the recyclable materials, they had started, now they have started converting some of their fiat into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we did a control experiment where we would do like SATs out, 1-2 weeks or something, we would not give out SATs. And they had SATs now to give themselves SATs, And they even went further. Whatever they do, like, for their group savings, now they are saving, like, in SATs. Because they have come to learn, and they were like, why would we be putting our savings in a currency that is getting debased, and we could be saving our money in a currency that is appreciating?
Correct.
So what this achieved was a mindset shift. And it's the same thing we are seeing with the local street vendors. And these are people would sort of label. Just yesterday, I had a meeting with 4 ladies, and we were looking at a way where now they can start their own savings, because I was asking them, who amongst you guys are most cohesive? Like, you work together. And they could say, like, we have this, in Kenya, we call them chamas. We have these informal groups where every Friday we put aside like 50 shillings for ourselves. And now we are doing that in Bitcoin. So we are like, oh, as Afribit, we will match that, just to encourage them, like, we're going to match that. And we're starting to see, like, okay, so all those light bulb moments are happening. So right now, I would not be wrong to say, like, there are so many people who, when they get their fiat currency, they are converting their fiat currency, like, into Bitcoin. I had one of the merchants, and this is beautiful because this guy was one of the most, like, he was against Bitcoin. He was like, dude, don't touch it. It's a scam, man.
Yeah.
It's a scam. Yeah. Then he started off on treasure sessions. He did treasure sessions, and he was like, okay, I'm getting it now. And then bit by bit, he came and he was like, oh, okay, I see. Then now he's sort of like a maximalist, teaching other people.
Yeah.
And he came the other day, he was telling me, like, dude, look, I have my sister that I've orange pilled, but she works in those Arabian countries, and she's wondering how can she be buying Bitcoin? Because, most of our guys would go to the Arabian countries to work there on the informal jobs, maybe for 2 years. They save so that by the time they come back, they probably have some savings, to put on a business or maybe something like that. So he was like, we need a way, like, where she can be able to buy Bitcoin, and she wants to be saving in Bitcoin before she comes. And also maybe when she wants to send mom something, she can send her in Bitcoin. Yeah. On the other hand, we have this other guy, like, in the community, a younger guy in the family. The sister is actually very learned, and she's, I think, an advocate or something. But this guy orange pilled the sister, and the sister studied Bitcoin. And the sister was like, wow, I didn't expect my younger brother, who is not, as what they would call as educated as I am, would have showed me something. Yeah. So that was interesting, because that is the gap we have. Now we have that matrix starting from the bottom. And guys on the middle class are the ones who are stuck, like, no, these guys cannot really teach me anything, but these guys get it,
Yeah.
And then up here, we are in denial. We are sort of like, no. With my degree, with my master's, I would have known about Bitcoin. It must be a scam. But
That's what I've
we are
been seeing.
seeing, but we are seeing that progress. Our focus is there, and now we are merging. We have both, because in the informal community you have both. You have both the mix. You
Yeah.
have guys who are in university, you have guys who are working, and you have guys who actually don't have that opportunity, sort of like, to go anywhere or such a thing. So we're working with them in that particular front as well. And we are seeing some progress. And even the education sessions that we are doing right now are being done actually by most of these youths. Because what they did is they joined the core classes, they joined the EduBit Hub. We have some ladies who joined the Bitcoin Data classes, and we have some even who have done all the three platforms.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
this is on top of the 5 sessions that we
Yeah.
had done with them.
Yeah.
So now there's a lot of local, like, peer-to-peer education that is happening. And I can sort of like, recede in the back ends, and because now they're able to mentor people in other villages. And what is most important is we have people who are coming from other communities outside Kibra who are coming, like, to learn.
Yep.
So we are very passionate to teach these guys about the challenges that we have had, how we've been able to resolve those challenges, so that they don't have to make the same mistakes, but they can start on a finer print and probably scale up. Because for us, the Bitcoin wins, the more people and the more communities that are empowered across the globe.
Yeah.
We are happy, man. We are happy, man.
Yeah.
And for now, that is the focus, to continue bootstrapping the circular economy. There are so many other ideas that are coming. Like one that we have piloted so far and we have seen it, like, have very good success, is also like for the border riders, the motorbike guys.
Yeah.
Most of those guys are not compliant. So I have a motorbike, I teach you, you fall a few times and you're able to ride, and boom, someone in the community gets some small amount of money, they buy a motorbike. Yeah, I know how to ride, you are given because they have seen you riding. So when you're not compliant, you don't have a driving license, but how does that limit you? It limits you in a sense that you cannot operate beyond this Kibra scope. This is sort of your comfort zone, because you're scared. If you go, you're going to be caught by the police, and because you're not compliant, like, you lose the motorbike or something. So we are trying to work backwards, pay for these guys driving licenses, pay for their insurance, and then they pay back in the same fiat amount but in sats. So let's say if we have spent 6,000 shillings in Kenya shillings in fiat, we want you to pay back same amount, but you have to buy sats and pay back in sats, because we know at the end of the day the sats are going to grow, right?
Correct.
So you're helping empower them. But it's our own model that works amongst us. And you're looking at it also like as an empowerment to these guys. And what we are seeing is more and more of these guys now are able to get, like, better jobs, which means more income for them. They have the Bitcoin knowledge, and they can stack some sats, convert their fiat into sound money, which is one of the main goals. And that is happening. We can see that is happening. Because I will be asking myself, why would Ronnie want me to? He's given me 6,000. He's invested 6,000. He's not asking me for interest, but he's asking me to pay him that money in bits and pieces, but in sats. Doesn't matter whether Bitcoin goes up or down. Just do the 500, but just buy sats for 500.
And, that's what
like,
that's what I'm loving about you guys so much, is that, like, you guys have certain problems and you create your own solutions and you work together to improve everything. Earlier you had said it was like a distribution where, one of the barriers that's going on in Africa is working with different countries. And you were saying, like, when it comes to shipping, sometimes it has to get shipped to Europe to come back for higher prices. I was just in Hawaii, and they were saying the same thing, where they were growing food and creating things, and they had to go all the way to the mainland in America to come all the way back. And so Hawaii is like it is the most expensive state in America. And I'm like, wow, if this is being done not just amongst states, but this is being done amongst countries, and you have to use your resources to send to Europe and come back. I mean, that's outrageous. So I'm glad you guys are starting to knock down those barriers and get rid of middlemen because you have everything you need right there. You don't need a third party. So I'm absolutely loving that. And that's very inspiring. So I know you guys gave Kibera a nickname. What's the nickname for Kibera so that everybody knows what to call it when they get out there?
The Bitcoin Valley, the one
there you
that
go.
Called the Bitcoin Valley.
Bitcoin Valley. There we go.
That's the guys who came up with the name. They've been calling it the Bitcoin Valley. But our point was not to have everyone, like being a merchant with the fixed liquidity. We just wanted it to have like an organic growth. We're not looking for highlights. We are looking for solutions. We are looking for practical, things that can be replicated across other villages. And we are grateful that we are having so many other people, even in the inter-villages, coming. And some of the tools that we want to use, or the youths are actually now asking me for, they were like, hey, Ronnie, can we get soccer jerseys branded, like, Bitcoin messages or something like that? Because there are 11 villages and there are 11 teams. So all these other villages, they know like, okay, this Bitcoin has started somewhere. It will get to us, but some of them are starting in their own ways, in their own small pockets. So how do we empower them? How do we get this knowledge, like to more of these guys? So that's why we are very keen on creating partnership, building human nodes, which will now be able, like, to transmit this knowledge. And some of those activities are magical in such, like situations, like probably using the soccer, even if it is after the halftime or maybe during the end of the match, and telling the guys like, yeah, this is how this is going to happen. But now the guys are composing their own songs, and their songs are just going viral within their own communities, and they have a hard-hitting Bitcoin message, and someone would listen and go to like, wow, okay, I get it now, like, so this is it. There's still some people outside Kibera who are in denial because they are like, no, there's no way Kibera can have Bitcoin, like, but they also don't know, like, it's mostly like ignorance. So my hope is like, they would learn and probably learn it for their own sake or their communities, because not every one of us is a community person, but you can play an independent role, in the Bitcoin movement. We can all play a role, like, to make this sound money, like the word spread more and reach out more people.
Yeah, I know. When you brought me over, I was grateful. I had a meal, got to meet some of the team. That was absolutely amazing. And then I didn't even realize it, but your wife, she's involved also. She has her own project. Could you briefly go over what she's doing?
Yeah, so she runs a homestay also. She runs a homestay as a Bitcoin. She's a Bitcoin maximalist in her own way. And she was very key also, like in helping the girls, reaching out to the girls and helping to set up the upcycling queens. She was very involved from the word go in the Afribit marketplace. She's the one who was actually the first one to start developing the website, with the students. And she's involved now in other very back-end roles. In a way, they run a scholarship program where they sponsor kids in Kibera with one of her friends from Australia. And this program has been running for over 12 years, where they provide school fees, pocket money, shopping, and everything to those kids who have qualified to go to high school, which is very expensive here in Kenya. It's a boarding, and most of them would not probably be able to go. So up to date, they have done about 200 students that they've been able to support. Some have finished and are now working, so plowing back into their own communities. And she's very passionate in that area. So it's so interesting because, on the other hand, I've been working with the youths in mentorship project, source of livelihoods and stuff. And when we would meet with some women in Kibera, they would be shocked. Like, they would be like, oh, that is Sarah's husband, And they were like, they didn't know, So we were that sort of people, like, very back end. And so they're trying to put two and two together. But yeah, that's what has been happening. It's just all those opportunities you get to connect with the people there. And support them in a small way because they are very hardworking, they are very talented. I always say like most of these informal settlements are some of the richest places in terms of ideas. And if that orange economy there can be, exploited well, then it can be life changing.
Yeah.
But for that to happen, like you really need to have a very wholesome project because there's also a lot of trauma. There's a lot of you find there's some women who would struggle with self-esteem, and there are all those things which could be barriers. So that is where my little sociology and anthropology helps me now, like in using technology and blending it with human behavior, sort of like to try and have some impact or connection in a community.
Yeah, well, I want to salute you. Taking care of the family, getting the family involved, getting the community involved, taking care of the young people. You're a leader amongst leaders, teachers among teachers. So I want to salute you, give you your flowers, because I see what you're doing. I travel all around the world, finding people who are doing these things, and it's very few people who are doing the thing that you're doing the hard work, and like you said, not for the flash, but for the actual solutions itself. So I'm gonna salute you for that. If there's people out there that want to help, how can they help you? How can they get involved with your initiative?
They can check us out on x.com/Afribit Kibera. They can go to our website, afribit.africa. I can send you maybe the information and the QR codes. Some of the videos that have gone out actually have really been helpful, and that helps with the liquidity for the groups. We are fortunate now to have people coming on board, we have some Trezor sessions, which will be sponsored by Trezor. Blink would support us for one meetup, a month. And those meetups are very powerful. You cannot do enough meetups, in Kibera. Every single time you have fresh people because they keep telling each other. So we've been trying to have fresh cohorts, and there's need for more. Of course, there's need for more. But I can share with you some of those details, and you can share them out. We appreciate all the support, ideas, and special people like you doing interviews like this, and even also coming on the ground. Coming on the ground, like people know CJ, they know you, oh, that guy, and
that's wild. That's wild to think about.
yeah.
And then if there was one thing that you wanted to tell the audience, what would it be?
I think I would tell them everyone can do something wherever they are. It doesn't matter whether you're in the States, but we can all bring change, starting with ourselves. That one doubting Thomas that you get to convince, that one article that you get to share with someone who even doesn't get to believe in the movement. So my mantra has always been in every community, there's something to be done. So do your part, do your part. And you're doing your part, man.
I'll say it in Swahili, manze. Do your part.
Absolutely. Do your part.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ronnie. We're not going to call you Mr. Ronnie anymore. We're going to call you OG Ronnie from now on. Appreciate you for coming on, man. It's been awesome. Learned a lot. Keep doing what you're doing, man. We love it.
Thanks, CJ. It's a team's effort. I'm very, very blessed to have, a very self-driven community, passionate people like Felix, who, on a last-minute call, hey, come, we need to do this meetup. And boom, they would show up running, sweating. And these are people who are really, really, self-driven. And all those heroes, who are behind the scenes, and they are trying to make all these things possible, even when some of us are being pulled from the back end to come sort of here to the limelight. We continue empowering some more. My kids are so passionate about Bitcoin. They're crazy about Bitcoin. You hear them talking to their cousins and their friends, and some of their friends' moms will tell them that is a scam. I don't know what they think about me, but it's okay. It's ignorance, and we've seen that pass. With so many other people. So I think knowledge and education has really been powerful in changing the perception. So the small victories that we are having, we celebrate. The challenges that we are facing, they give us a courage, and need for us to be more innovative and reach out and like find out other newer ways of doing things, like better. And we hope we are building a blueprint for other people who would have to replicate. So nothing lost. Nothing lost.
It takes those mentors to do that. I know, Nipsey Hussle and Dr. Boyce Watkins are the ones that got me in, and it was a man named Lamar Wilson who kind of like he's the one who really educated me in terms of like where this thing is going, what this is, and then now I'm able to fly on my own and do that for other people. So I always make sure I salute OGs. And then it's funny because I talked to Lamar and he's like, well, his OG was Sinclair Skinner. So it's like,
yes.
We drop a rope. We climb, drop a rope to the next person.
We need to replicate ourselves as much as possible. And I'm so proud of all those guys who mentored you. Same for me, Yogi, who sought the knowledge and was there for me, with all the questions. And I still go back to him right now with some technical questions. And sometimes you'd even ask, so how does this work? Because he doesn't probably understand how it blends in with the community.
Yeah.
But the source of the knowledge that we are firing down to Mitch and the other guys. And we'll continue doing that, and that's how I think we will keep building the movement, just like now for you, what you're doing. So this needs to happen more and more. And kids level, mentoring, that is something I'm really keen on. Especially on the issues of the circular economy, because there's what we call the Circular Economy Bitcoin Fund for Africa. And these are Bitcoin projects that are funded by Bitcoin Beach or supported by Bitcoin Beach. So they are led by Bitcoin Ekasi, that is Haman, who's been in charge. But he had tapped me and Brindon, and we've been sort of helping the movement, also so helping other circular economies in other parts of Africa. So it's been such a privilege, working with all those other guys in different parts of Africa, bootstrapping them and learning from their challenges and looking for solutions. So I believe the movements in Africa and the future for Africa, is bright. There's still so much work to do, but if we work together, then I'm sure we will get somewhere. Get somewhere, and that's what I passionately hope for and I desire for, and I'll just do my part as Ronnie, and the rest will fall into place.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Just do your part. And I appreciate you, OG Ronnie, for coming on. And
welcome, man. Thank you.
CJtheSmartGuy podcast. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, man. Thank you.